So we're joined by Ash from Predictiva, Ben from Torch Legal, and Mukhtar from Nooni, obviously. So should we start with Ash? Is it okay if you kick off with just sort of a 30-second to a minute sort of elevator pitch of what it is you do?
Cool. All right. Thanks, Al. My name is Ashraf. You can call me Ash. I'm the one of the co-founders and the CEO of Predictiva. Basically, we are trying to invent the next big thing in the financial markets. So we're an AI company, and we have developed a fully automated platform driven by AI for autonomous financial trading in the stock market. This is in a nutshell what we do. It's based on new machine learning algorithms called deep reinforcement learning, and it's been very successful so far in the testing phase and the MVP.
Awesome, thanks, Ash. Ben, over to you. Tell us about Torch Legal.
Hello, everyone. I am Ben Morris, one of the co-founders of Torch Legal. What we do is we provide online wills and powers of attorney for at least 50% of the cost that it will take to go to a solicitor. The twist is there's still a solicitor will and a power of attorney at the end of it. We use technology to take out all the inefficiencies and give a great service, and our customers love us. And you can read our Trustpilot if you don't believe me. If any of you want to be a customer that loves us, then feel free to use the code LSA20 for 20% off all of our products. It's also in the name of my title.
Lovely, love a good plug. And Mukhtar, obviously you've slightly just introduced, but in a nutshell, do you want to tell us some more?
Yeah, so maybe I'll talk about why we're using it. So the main basis behind it is what we found through our research throughout last year, that many of the new virtual event platforms, they focus more on the video aspect and creating serendipity that existed in in-person events, but then they don't sort of the second thought was the actual user interaction, and so there was never a real focus on that. And so we thought, okay, let's put a bit more emphasis on that. So what we found was a lot of people, when they're asking questions, you might see that when people are promoting events, they always put, if you have any questions, then send us an email or fill out this form here. And then you have a separate thing inside Zoom itself. You have a chat, and then you have the Q&A both inside Zoom. And then later on, you have the feedback form or any follow-up questions. So we thought, okay, how about we consolidate all of that into one platform, and you can take that platform with you, whether it's Zoom, whether it's in-person events, or whether you're hosting a live podcast on YouTube or Clubhouse, for example, which is a new thing. So that was the main idea behind it. We just launched on Monday on Product Hunt, so it went all right. We've got a bit of interest, and now of course we're happy to be doing these events with Leicester Startups, and yeah, so that's where we are right now. I think I said too much there, but
sorry, and just to say, Mukhtar, thank you because you've done all of our events so far in Startup Week, and I can honestly say it's been tremendous. It's taken a lot of the pressure and the pain points around questions. So yeah, just a reminder to anyone that's joined recently, if you click in the chat, you'll see the link. We're using Nooni, this platform, to run the questions without voting.
Awesome. Thank you.
Cool. Well, thanks all. So I think we kick off with some just questions for all three of you as sort of a round table in that sense. And then we'll be tracking what's coming through on Nooni, and we can take from that as well. So, I mean, first of all, for those sort of perhaps on the line looking to apply for the accelerator or even just start a business themselves, what aspects of the accelerator last year did you find sort of most beneficial? What did you get most value from? Any of you can just chip in at this point.
Yeah, I think I wish, obviously I won't speak for Ashraf or Mukhtar, but one of the huge things I got out of it was just the people, the connections, like as much the mentors as the people on the accelerator itself. Like I've got people now who I can text and ask questions to and see if they're okay, because I know they're in the same boat as I was. The thing I wish I'd done differently, I suppose, I think I wished I'd have grabbed more time with everyone involved. So like you forget how important that time invested can be. And I would say I would have asked for more time from mentors. I would have searched out more time with my peers. I would have searched out basically more interactive time, because what you realize is very quickly it ends. very quickly you're out in the wild on your own again. And that's incredibly important time that you can spend and invest.
Yeah. Yeah, and it can be a lonely road, can't it? Especially as a one-man band or woman band. Actually, that reminds me, we were also meant to be joined by Sukvir, who is also on the accelerator, and she's founded Girls Lead. And that's triggered me because what she's done is created a community of female entrepreneurs, which again breaks down that barrier and finds someone for you to talk to. It doesn't matter if it's, the same industry or not. It can be so helpful just having a soundboard, can't it? Mukhtar, Ash, any additions to that?
And what I would say is that probably the best thing was the camaraderie between the actual, cohorts where we'd come together. Like sometimes we wouldn't want the session to end. There was a point where it was myself, Ben, or Hamza. We stayed on our Friday call for hours, literally until the sun went down. We couldn't see each other anymore. So we thought, okay, maybe it's time to cut off. But it's just that sort of ability to sit together and have that discussion and bounce ideas together. We still do that today. For example, we message in the WhatsApp group, and just that alone has put a lot of pressure off of us and really helped take the emotional and mental stresses around creating and running a startup has really been the biggest helpful part.
Yeah.
I agree to that. It was a great group, and it's great to have these discussions every now and then. And we still share, interesting stuff, books to read, websites to try, people to talk to, which is very interesting, and it helps with all these crazy timings we're in. So it's good to know that you're not alone. This is not only your journey. There are a lot of people out there with the same experience trying to help. I think it was great also to get some good introductions during the startup with people from the industry, mentors, and we found great mentors that we're still in touch with, and they are helping us with things like go-to-market strategy, product market fit, talking to the right people. So I think it was very good, was very beneficial to all of them.
Yeah, I think people is definitely the big answer there in conclusion, isn't it? Which, as you say, it's very apt at the moment. Being at home can be even more isolating. So you definitely need that friendship group almost around, don't you? So in terms of the experience as a whole, if you could sort of, in a nutshell, say what your biggest learning curve was, what would that be?
I think for me, it's the reminder that no matter how good you think you've built something, that means nothing. And the reminder to just stay incredibly strict with how user-centric you are. The fact that there's no such thing as build it and they'll come. You really do have to do a good specific job of selling to people, especially selling to the actual users that you had in mind or hopefully you tested with. And I think it was just a reminder to everything around it, the language. We realized halfway through the accelerator, the gender of the people who were using our services flipped heavily from male to female, to the point where I would say 6, 7, or 8 out of 10, that's obviously quite a wide statistic, of people that start our forms are women, and that's women on their own in the single wills, or women doing their partner wills. And that was something we wouldn't have guessed, we wouldn't have estimated. And now we change a lot of our language. Obviously, you have to lean into certain stereotypes around these things, but we talk a lot more about children, families, protecting them, securing them. So that need to say strictly user focused, but also just because you built something amazing doesn't mean you're going to change the world. Actually, if anything, if you just build something amazing, you're not going to change the world. So it's just that reminder consistently to involve the users, involve your clients, involve your customers.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll definitely echo that. I would echo that. Before we joined, the funny thing is, with the accelerator, the way that it helped us, I'd say the most was when we first joined. At least from our perspective, the customers that we had in mind, or the people that we had in mind, or the strategy was completely different to when we left. And so what we did is, throughout those sessions and those conversations, we realized, okay, you know what, this isn't the right strategy to go with. How about we do X, Y, Z instead? And we also went with a completely new redesign during that period as well. So it helped us completely change the strategy, or completely change how we were looking at things, to really focus down on what were the real problem or pain points that we were trying to solve, who were experiencing these problems the most, and how could we get them to the aha moment, or get to that point where they've solved, or they've found out the solution as quick as possible. So it echoes what Ben was saying, which is basically user-centric. How can we improve the user experience around the product itself?
Yeah, definitely. It's always the most important aspect of starting a business. What about you, Ash? Any key learning curves that you had?
I think one of the most important things was to have an external eye to challenge your ideas, to say, have you thought of this? Do you think that this will work? Have you thought of something different to, for example, sell your product? And even challenge things like financial forecasts, go-to-market plan. It's very helpful to have someone from outside your organization, outside of your own creative bubble, to tell you, all right, think differently, because this might not work. I think that learning curve is very important.
And did you find sort of it was a good mix within the accelerator of that one-to-one support that would make you think outside the box, as well as the peer and then the workshops? Or was there something in particular within the accelerator that excelled this learning curve, if you pardon the pun?
Yeah, I think the one-to-one was very important, as well as the peer-to-peer discussions. I think most of us during the accelerator has fine-tuned their offerings, or redesigned completely their product, or designed the pitch deck to reach out for investments and so on. I think I've done personally 2 rounds of amendments on the pitch deck and how we reach out to investors. So I think the mentors one-to-one meetings were very helpful, and then the peer-to-peer discussions.
Cool. Okay. So that kind of leads on to the question of what's next for you all, without seeming like a closing the session off question. But before I open it up to everyone else's that have come through, what's happened since the accelerator, and where are you going next with it?
All right. So let me go first on this one. All right. So after we finished the demo day, I think the minute we finished our presentation on the demo day, we've got an email from an interested investor, even before we finished the session. and then we met a VC during the demo day as well. He reached out to us. He offered help and guidance, and we're still in discussions with them to close the first funding round. And a few days after the accelerator, we were announced as one of the regional winners of Tech Nation Rising Stars. So we were named one of the Midlands best tech startups. It was very exciting, and we've got a lot of good PR as a result of both the demo day with Leicester Startup and Tech Nation. So I think that helped us to connect with a lot of relevant people, some investors, good investors. So hopefully that would help us to close our funding round soon. And we had some good discussions, even with with peers, with Sam, with Ben, about our MVP and how it works and how we can improve that. So we did a lot of work on our MVP, and we've launched our demo portal. So we started to reach out to potential customers to let them see the product in action and how it connects to the trading market, to the stock market, and how it works and so on. So I think that was a good experience overall.
Yeah.
I think the next step for us is to reach out to more potential customers, and then fine tune or beta version of the product and get ready to get that first customer. We have also a very good team of advisors joining us, from different spaces. So data scientists and AI consultants from universities to commercial and legal advisors want to be part of the team. So far, we have 5 advisors who joined us. Most of them are very highly skilled people, so we're truly honored to have them on board. And we've been contacted by the Member of Parliament for Leicestershire office, Neil O'Brien. So after the Rising Stars, his office reached out to us saying, "You guys are doing a great job, and Neil would like to meet you at some day to speak to you about the business and if there's any help he can offer as a Member of Parliament." So
Nice.
all looks good so far.
Big moves for Predictiva. So top that then, guys. What have you been up to? No, yeah. What's happened since the Accelerator for you guys, and where are you going next?
Yeah, but for us, after the demo day was the first time we actually did the new redesigned version of it. Before it was always the old version of Nini, but it was the first time we actually did it. It was a bit nerve-wracking, I'm not gonna lie, because we have to show a new thing that we haven't tested out properly yet, in front of potential investors and things like that. But yeah, when we did do that, we were happy with the results, and of course the publicity and things like that. We had a few conversations with interested people, and then we continued building out our waiting list, and then we launched on Monday on Product Hunt, and then now we're just looking at the aftermath of that. We had quite a bit of a spike in our traffic, which was unusual, and we started receiving weird emails. We're like, okay, we're on track. If we started to get some weird sales emails, so we think, okay, we're live now. Things are going in the right direction. So at the moment, yeah, I'm just having lots of conversations right now. After this week's events, we've got another one on Sunday, and after this call, actually, I have a few other customer calls later today of people that are interested in trialing out the product. So that's the stage that we are at now, where we just similar stage to Predictiva, where we look for that first paying customer to come through.
Yeah, awesome. Wow, Ben, what's new with
what's next? Hopefully more of the same, I would say. So we built an incredibly lightweight business model, 5 lines of code in the whole thing. I try and outsource as much of the skill and effort as I can do. We hang off some pretty key software tools that do a lot of the heavy lifting for us. And that means I actually spend very little time in the business other than improving the website and doing different things. As we sit today, other than the person who's just literally about to finish doing their will, and they started after we started this session, we sit at 500% up on Q4 of last year on like a day-by-day basis. We are like shifting quite nicely through the gears. We've never put any marketing money into the business. We've only ever, I mean, it's a bit of a grim term, but we eat what we kill. Like, we only ever spend what we've put into the business. I'm not looking for money to come into the business. We don't need it. We're just going to grow in an incredibly sustainable way, making sure we just delight clients on the way. And that's all we're focused on doing is collecting those 5-star Trustpilot reviews, is providing a great service. We've got some auxiliary things we're thinking about bringing in, things that we've learned from our clients, such as often when you've got your will, like specific bank information or pension information isn't included in the will itself, but often it's really important information that people need when you die and they need to access it. So we're thinking about potentially having some sort of data storage that goes alongside with it, because obviously we have a transactional model. There's no recurring revenues here, so we need to see about like if we can do any of that. But to be honest, what's next is I really hope more of the same. I don't want to grow too fast. We don't need to. I just want to keep providing overwhelming value to our clients. That's the goal.
Awesome. I really like hope the idea is that someone on this call right now from when you plugged earlier is now doing their will, and that's the one you're seeing come through.
My analytics know that it wasn't someone from here. There was a couple of people that went to the website. I know that much, but no, this is from a referral partner. I know. sorry, it wasn't that good a story. I mean, guys, LSA 20, torchlegal.co.uk, if you get in there now.
So, Sam, what have we had come through on the chat? Let me just have a look.
I don't mind reading this out. So, is there anything you've changed about yourself or your business since the accelerator? I think a couple of you have talked about it. Any further thoughts on that one?
I think the biggest thing for me that it's more of a realization. I'm not sure I've changed. I was saying just before we started, I said I have consultancy clients that pay the bills, and then I do I've got lots of things happening. But the thing for me that I learn more than anything is that what you focus on is what grows. And you have to give time to things and focus intently on it to make progress. And you can't just have a great idea and allow it to grow on its own. That doesn't happen either. So you have to prune things. You have to really focus on them. And for me, there's no coincidence that November we tripled our revenue in November versus October, which was obviously the time frame just it started during the accelerator and afterwards. And that's no coincidence. I spent more time on the business over that period than I'd ever had before. And I think for me, that's it. What you focus on is what grows. I think essentially that for me was, I'm not sure if I changed that in myself, but it was a realization. It's a realization to do that.
Yeah, I think what we were saying just before the group joined is around that discipline and focus, especially if you're on your own starting up. I'm also a person that just really struggles to, like we said, stick to the same task, just chop and change. I remember reading something a while ago that how to tackle that, and it's just remember the phrase, just do what you're doing now. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's so simple. If you can just keep pushing through, because you always sit there and go, what shall I do next? And you get distracted, and like you say, you don't grow and build that same thing. You just sort of spread yourself too thin. So yeah, I can definitely relate to that. What else is there, Sam? I'm really bad at reading.
So I think and the others haven't got anything to add to that one. We can tick it off.
The only thing I would add to it is I think the biggest switch that I've done since then is I saw this quote somewhere, or this comment where someone said, think in abundance and not scarcity. And I thought that is so important, because sometimes, especially when you're starting a new idea, you always think, oh, somebody has done it before, or maybe I can't do it as good as this, so is there space for me here? The funny thing is, there's always a space for you. Like today I heard about a new company called Octopus Energy, and apparently it's a massive Australian energy company that I've just never come across it. And to think about, a company that massive is still doing huge things. Like, there's so much space here. There's an abundance of things. So whatever you're thinking about, just go and do it, because there's a space for you. There's a space for everybody to have a successful brand.
That's so important. I think you can get so intimidated by people that are already there, people that are already doing things, that it freezes you. But I think the thing that you constantly need to remind yourself is it's simply impossible for people to have the whole market. It just doesn't work like that. And I think that's why I think my overriding principle that's been gleaned over many years is always, if you can present overwhelming value, you will win. That's it. And you might only get a few customers, but you can always snag customers from the market. If you present overwhelming value, whether that's ease, price, value, if you can do that, you will claim clients, and you will claim them from the biggest companies in the world. You may not be able to do it in their thousands, but you can certainly get 1, 10, 50, 100.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, completely agree with that. It's just because they're not a customer of someone else's yet doesn't mean they will never become one of yours. You don't have to copy and paste another company, do you? What we got next, Sam? I don't know, Ash, is there anything to add to what you feel has changed? Obviously, you've had quite an exciting journey since the accelerator ended.
Well, I think if anyone is trying to start a technology company, and especially if you're a technology person or coming from a technology background, it's very easy to get distracted or get pulled into the technical details to the level that you're not focusing on the business anymore because you're distracted with too many technical stuff. And I think I've changed that after the accelerator. So I think now I started to think more about the final product or the stage of the business rather than the technical details. So we don't have, for example, to have 100% working product to be in an MVP or beta stage. So we can still go and talk to people with something that is 60% or 70% ready, rather than just waiting for perfection of the technology. So I think that's something we've changed as a result of the accelerator. And I think it might be useful for other folks in the technology field to think about. So forget about perfectionism. If your product works even with 60 or 70% capacity or efficiency, you can still go to people, you can still talk to potential customers and fine tune it from there.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Ash. Sam, what have we got on the list?
Well, I might be able to chip into a bit of this next one. So since it's worked well virtually, is there any need to do this in person? Won't it be easy to do it online all the time? I can't answer all of that question because I wasn't a participant, but I was around sort of helping manage the last program. So it did work well, but we would love to do this through a blended approach at some point. So yeah, I think there is online can't facilitate those conversations that wouldn't already happen. If you're in a space together, you've got that bit before and after that you could, they call it the water cooler in America. So yeah, maybe bits are missing, and we will try and move to at least a blended approach at some point when it's allowed. But yeah, I don't know what the three participants feel about that.
No, hugely. I think we all stated one of the best parts was like the people involved, like all the people, the cohort, the mentors, everything like that. And I like halfway through, I was having this vision of this, like we were all sat around, like someone was doing like their website, someone like, does anyone know how to do X, like, and getting involved. And I think that would be the way to turn, that would be one of the places that you could really improve this, would be to like for the people to spend time in the room together, nothing planned other than people just getting their work done, like. And for me, that would have turned it from a really great experience into like an unbelievably great, like I don't know how to score this thing, but just like much better experience from already a good experience. For me, like you can never, I very much doubt that we will ever lose person to person. Like technology is not going to get that good, certainly not in my lifetime, to ever replace anything like that. And just to have that, spend that time together in the same room and have our SEO competitions and do everything else, like, which I won, but there's no one needs to remember.
Yeah, I think pitching is very important to be face to face, because online pitching is a nightmare, honestly. You don't see the people, you don't see how they react, and it's funny.
Definitely, I definitely agree with that. Is that serendipity I was talking about earlier, isn't it? Where those small conversations where we're about to go out, or we're about to leave the building, for example, or say, hey, let's just go grab a coffee or something like that. Like you can't replicate that online, and you get tired of Zoom after a while. You get that fatigue where you're like, okay, I just want to switch this thing off. I want to stop smiling, for example. Let me just relax for a bit and switch off. But it's the same, it's the same thing. You can't really replicate the in-person. So definitely, I can't wait for the in-person. Hopefully we can do that one day.
Definitely.
Right, next up, a lot of tech companies don't actually have a tech resource, so end up outsourcing. But how would you approach finding this tech person to bring this in-house, assuming you haven't already got one, of course? Ash, I don't think that applies to you.
All right. So we were in this situation, yes.
Okay.
Because at some point we needed some help with things like front end, although both myself and my co-founder are coming from AI and machine learning, we know almost nothing about front end UX, things like that, and sometimes we even needed to outsource some of the smaller rinse and repeat tasks to someone else, rather than us spending too much time on things like cleaning the code. So there is plenty of places you can reach out or find technical resources. You can first speak to peers, and I'm sure a lot of these wonderful startups have some good resources for you. Second, there are a lot of websites, like Upwork and stuff, that you can find someone to help you with a small task. I think Crunchbase as well. If you list your company on Crunchbase or your startup, there is a section to hire people for startups. So you can put an ad on there and say there is a job, I need someone, and personal connections as well work well sometimes. To reach out to the people they might find you might find someone useful for you.
Definitely. What I'd add to that is from my experience when I was doing, I'm not the technical co-founder here. I'm more of the business marketing side. But originally, when I was testing the idea out, I went and I learned a bit of coding to actually build the first version of it. And I'd always say, even if you're not the technical person, you look for a technical person, you need to understand at least how the software development cycle, at least, or just have a broad understanding of it, because you don't want to be ripped off or anything like that if you're in a situation. Because I've come across this team where they spent £20,000 on a New York agency to build a wireframe they could have built themselves on Figma. And I was thinking, you don't ever want to be in a similar situation to something like that. So what I would say is go and learn what user experience is like. Go and learn to wireframe something and have something tangible that you could click through, a small prototype that you can make. So then at least then you'll be able to understand what your expectations are and what you're going for, so you don't end up losing track of your development. So you need to be able to basically product manage. So if you can product manage, then after that you should look for a development person. The way that I found David, my co-founder, is we were on Indie Hackers. Indie Hackers is a platform for businesses and people that are business oriented or people that are technical oriented. They go and they brainstorm ideas and things like that. So it's a lot of indie founders, and they call themselves indie makers. So I posted on there, said, hey, I'm working on this thing. This is the things that I've done. This is what I'm looking for. This is how much equity I'm willing to give. Who wants to partner up with this? So I had a few people that contacted me from all over the world. David was the best one because he was a young guy. He was a student as well. He saw the problem, and he's also very close by. So he's only in Europe at the moment, so the time difference wasn't crazy. And of course, there's always a level of risk to it when you're partnering up with someone. So I think I just got really lucky with David, and we've been working together now for over a year now on this thing, and it's been great so far. So I'd definitely say have a real understanding of what you're trying to do and work on the prototyping and the design and all that stuff yourself. Have a good understanding of software development cycles and things like that, and then only then you should go out and look for additional help later on.
Just to change I've probably got a slightly different opinion on this. I don't bring them in house. Would be my point. My view on these things is you should automate, optimize, lean on external tools, do everything you possibly can until your company is screaming before you bring any extra resource in. You don't win awards for having employees before you can afford them, and you don't grow. Having employees doesn't force your growth through the roof exponentially. If anything, you lose your agility, you slow down, you need to be better at communication, your strategy better be there because you're now dragging people along with you. I would fight tooth and nail to do all those things I mentioned, like automate, optimize, lean on external tools, lean on external people before you bring any resource in-house. You've got to be sure. If you're a company of one, or I've got two co-founders, you're adding a huge percentage of a person into that pool, a huge percentage. This isn't a huge company. if someone new joins your family unit, you know about it, and often your company is smaller than your family, and it's incredibly important to delay that, I think, for as long as you physically can, because that first hire, the second hire, the first 10 hires can be incredibly difficult. And that's for someone I've hired rapidly from 5 to 30 people just almost overnight, and I wish I'd never done it. Like, I'm not saying this, like, yeah, like, you gain that bit of, we're hiring employees, it's going to be great. Nightmare.
Interesting. There's a big rise in no code, low code as well. To support that, I guess it's amazing what you can do as a complete beginner in terms of getting that minimum viable product up and then running the back end yourself through a concierge service, as described in the link.
It's amazing what you can do knowing more than a beginner, and just realizing the value of your time. Like, you don't have to, it's not a dumbed down way of doing things. For me personally, I think it's incredibly clever. Our business costs us £80 a month to run. Like, that's all we do. And everything's set up well. Like, we try not let the clients lose out on that. We give them all the value we can. We never skimp on what we give to them. But in terms of everything else, like, if my business cost me £80 a month to run, why am I going to bring anyone else to ever attack that? Let alone the culture, let alone the communication, the strategy, the cost. Like, there's so much reason not to do it. But that sounds like you might need a technical co-founder, and if you do, you probably do need to go and find them. But I was just presenting an alternative view.
No, it's good, and you've both got different business models, and maybe that wouldn't necessarily work for Mukhtar's and vice versa. Go on.
Yeah, sorry. It depends on the product. Like something like Torch Legal, like the way he's found is like, if you could find a way to do it no code. If I knew what I know now, then I don't think I'd be in this. I don't think I'd be doing what I'm doing right now. So it's like you figure things out, you learn things along the way. And especially he was right, because I did go through before. If we talk really early days, when I was initially just an idea, I would go and, for example, I only realize now the huge importance of a team where, like, you need to have everything. You need to be able to do everything internally. You need to be able to do everything inside the team. You should never look externally. That should be like the worst case scenario. If you're looking externally, then you need to go and revisit the idea maybe and start figuring out how can we do this thing without any external help. And I made that mistake before, and then correcting it by, later on we ended up correcting and having everything in house, and now we never need to look externally. So like Torch Legal, ours costs, I think it costs 50 quid a month or something like that to run uni right now. So it's just keeping everything internally. But if I did go and outsource technology, then this would have cost me thousands to have done. But having that team internally, and both yourself and the person knowing what the risks are involved in doing this thing, and that there's no guarantee that it's going to succeed. So if you guys are on the same standing, then you should be okay.
It's hard to say for sure as well, but we often hear investors like a technical co-founder, so you can iterate quickly. But yeah, interesting. I'm mindful that we've only got 40 minutes left, and there's a few of the questions going on. So we could
lightning round.
Well, let's open it up to you three first, because I can also chip in with it's highlighted in blue. So what's the time commitment like? I mean, it's different for all of you, but from our side, we have about 6 hours of face-to-face time with us, the team. But of course, when you're not doing that, there's an expectation that you're continuing to do whatever you need to do in that week. So I wonder if one of you three could chip in with your thoughts on that.
I mean, the whole time we've been doing this, I've had to have other jobs. So I've been a consultant. I've done loads of different stuff, different work. We founded a charity at the end of last year as well. So my plate has always been quite full. You have to pay the bills, simply you have to pay the bill. And I'm at a stage in life where I've got a mortgage. I can't just, sadly, although there's a slight jealousy, I can't just go and rent a 1-bed apartment and absolutely go for it, or go back to my parents. That's not a place I can put myself in right now. But I've always had work to do. I think it just comes back to focus, like you said. Like, the time you'll do the face-to-face stuff because it'll be booked in, and you'll just do it and you'll get through it. Like Sam said, 6 hours a week or whatever it is. But I suppose it's a bit like university, the difference between school and university. Like, you can go to lecture university and you still fail. You have to be putting the work in when you get back to your to your accommodation, and I think that's the point. It doesn't really matter how much of a time you've got, like you do have to give significant portion to it, and people have to pay the bills as well. And if your startup's not in revenue or profit to the point where it can to put food on the table, then you've got to do what you got to do. Like that's just how it is. So yeah, it was busy, but put it this way, the accelerator wasn't the thing that was tipping me over the edge. That 6 hours wasn't the thing that was making it too busy. It was everything else in my week.
Yeah, definitely. I think the commitment, it shouldn't be a big problem at all. Because it was maybe an hour or two a day when we were actually in the workshop. But the rest of the real change happened was what you did with the information that you had. Because without information and you have no action, and you just have information, then you're not going to move. But says, what do you do with that information? Afterwards, that would make the difference. And yeah, before I did the accelerator, I was working part time, but then I left that now, so I'm doing that full time at the moment. I'm just working on this. So I was doing that with the accelerator, but of course in the future I might be in a situation where I do need to go back into part-time, but this thing is full-time anyway, 168 hours a week, so you just go in and see you make whatever you do whatever you need to do to make it a success. So it should never be a problem, the time commitment.
So just another thought for me. I mean, we deliberately designed this so that it is part-time. You could feasibly hold down a full-time job if you had a sympathetic employee who'd let you out for critical times. So yeah, and there's this accountability session on the Monday morning. So if you feel like you agree what you're going to do on the Monday, and then you talk about it at the end of the week during the roundtable discussion. So you've got that notional accountability amongst your peers, which we found worked really well last time, or at least I thought it did. I don't know. Ash, have you got any thoughts on that before we move on to the next one?
No, I think as Ben and Mukhtar say, that it wasn't a daunting task to participate in the accelerator. It's just a couple of weeks, a couple of hours every week, and I don't think it needs a full-time commitment to just be part of the accelerator. Personally, I give my full time to the company, to the startup as a company. But I don't think you need to be dedicated full time to participate in the accelerator.
Right. So we've got a question about tech development or product development time during the accelerator. I guess that was different for all three of you. So
don't ask me. Ask the other two. There's no
right. Yeah, you've only got 5 lines of code.
For us, we did do quite a bit, because we were changing at the same time, so we were realigning with the target audience and what the product is. So what we did is we had like community, like a community side of it and all of this sort of stuff. So we got rid of all the faff and we just focused on the real pain points and the smallest features that we could do. So there's only 3 things. There's live Q&A here, the upvoting, and then you've got the feedback, and then you've got the analytics, and that's it. So we changed that, streamlined it, and just focused on it. So that's what we did during the accelerator program.
Yeah, we did quite a bit of development, but just to be clear, the accelerator will not tell you go and change this in your product or go develop this. It's just up to you to realize and fine tune how your product will work. So it's really up to you how much development you want to put in your product or MVP. And this just put in mind that whatever you're doing now might change in the future. So don't try to overload yourself with a lot of development and a lot of stuff. Just get something to work, and then take it to the next level, iterate, fine tune, and build on.
Yeah, I mean, just on product development, we didn't do barely any technical development, but product development, one of the things we did was we switched to the pages at the start of our Wills forms. And it's difficult to say exactly how much that added to us, but we know that when someone starts our forms, 6.5 people out of 10 finish them and pay. So we know we have to get people to start the forms, and we have to get them to save. And our save system works with an email. So we put the email as the first thing they have to answer before anything. So even before our client exclusion criteria, we put the email, so they got the email in and they could save from the first screen whether they answered another question or not. And that was stuff we just learned and adapted and changed. Now, obviously in a different world, that would have been technical development, but because I use an external platform, I just had to go and like drag some stuff around. But yeah, there was stuff that dramatically affected our business from the learnings that we took whilst on the accelerator.
Excellent. Right. What additional help would you have liked that you didn't get? Oh, yeah, and be brutally honest, because we know the last one was our test. It was our first one. It was our minimum viable product in a way. So yeah, take the gloves off and be brutally honest.
No, I think I mean, Sam, I think I wrote quite a bit in the feedback form. I think there's a number of things that could. I think what help would you have liked that we didn't get? I would have liked I would have liked people to be more aggressive towards my business, towards my idea, towards my business model, towards my finances. I would have shared any information anyone wanted to. And even producing the information would have almost certainly taught us a number of things. And this is obviously quite specific to me. Like, I would have loved someone to come in and say, like, show me your cost. I want to get into your cost. Why is that there? What are you not taking into account of? This, you're actually giving yourself an easier time of your business model because you're not including the postage and packaging of sending the wills out, for example. And I think I suppose what I'm saying is more specific one-on-one time, but I would have been open to that being far more intrusive. And because I think you cover things, don't you, with your mind that you think are good and are settled. And like Ashraf said earlier, when people give you feedback on stuff, it improves. And I think that's exactly the same, but for the inner workings, the hidden things of your business, the things that you've assumed, all of those different things. I'd have loved for like a heart surgery style direct attack of everything that we'd assumed inside the business.
Interesting. We go on. Sorry.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think more action focused would have been nice as well. So the theory is useful, but if it was more like, hey, why didn't you do that? Like on a Friday, you said you were going to do this, but why is it not written down like a contract every Monday morning? This has to be done by Friday, or something more forceful would have been nice. But again, you could argue that's on our side of things, like you have to do all of these things. But at the same time, I feel like it would have been a nice a push to say, hey, why is that there, or why did you assume or make that assumption? Because sometimes what I think might be settled, like what Ben was saying, it might actually be completely wrong, or and it might falter decisions later on.
Good. Okay. I'll let Ash, and then I'll chip in if that's all right.
Cool. Yeah. I think more one-to-one time with mentors would have been great. And I think maybe some more sessions focusing on things like product market fit, shaping go-to-market strategy would have been great as well. But I think the experience was very positive overall. So I think just a bit more of these would be great.
Good. And actually, I knew what this answer. I knew what the general feedback was. As Ben said, we collected some feedback at the end of the last session. So absolutely agree with everything you said. And a lot of that fell on me because I was a bit of a bottleneck. The good news is it's different this time round. We've got some additional funding. We've got some additional people. So Elle is working on the program 1 day a week. Manish, we've also got him as well. And then there's me. So it's been really useful for us to get these insights, because although the last one was very good, this one's going to be even better. So the additional funding and 2 extra days a week, I think, will make it an even better experience for the next cohort. So yeah.
And I've taken note to be more aggressive. So
we might use the word challenging, but
and hopefully once all the startups here are multimillionaires in a couple of years, we can all help back the community and support somehow.
Yeah. That's exactly what. Go on.
Sorry, just to add what you just said, Sam, around obviously noted there as well was around the one-to-one support. And not only is there now a bit more capacity to make those connections, but we've now started to put together our sort of helper engine, which is full of a massive sort of mentor network. And we've tried to make that more virtual again, where you can ask for an introduction and things like that. So we're hoping this time around that whole sort of one-to-one piece will be a lot more active, which is exciting.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, Al. And the other thing we do is run a startup help desk every Friday morning between 10 and 12. So if there's anyone on the call that would like to have a one-to-one chat with me about the next accelerator program and how they can access that help engine outside of the accelerator program, we can also do that. So if you feel that the accelerator is interesting but you're perhaps not quite ready, we've still got lots of things we can do before then. And I think Harsh, I don't know if he's still on the call, or perhaps one or two other people I've been working with on a one-to-one basis informally for the past few weeks, getting them ready for this program. So I'm going to put the link to the help desk in the chat. So we've closed the Noonie chat down, and I'm just going to put it in the regular old chat here. If anyone wanted to, go through that.
And Sam, just to say, I think I'll speak for Ashraf and Mukhtar, but if you contacted any of us on LinkedIn about anything, we'd be more than happy to tell you what we know in the areas we know it. I mean, I'm not an expert in anything I do, I don't think, but I've done some stuff and I've made a huge amount of mistakes, which I carry the scars of with me every single day. So if there's anything that I've spoken about or the others have, like a LinkedIn message wouldn't go amiss, or Sam's got all of our contact details and so's Elle. So yeah, I'm not sure what help we can be, but if we can be, please ask.
Thanks, Ben. I've just noticed one question has landed quickly. When will applications hear back from Leicester Startup? So we had planned to start it on the 15th of Feb and then realised it was half term. So we've pushed the start date back to the 22nd. So we're not closing it now until the 6th of Feb. So you will hear back from us, I think it's the 9th of Feb, shortly anyway. I hope that answers that question.